Yo, what's going on? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. Hey, what's up, y'all? So I just checked out the latest trailer, but I want to quickly just tell you a story. I had to be every bit of 8 years old. I could have been younger. I do apologize if I got my dates wrong. But my godmother who was a huge video game head, picked me up from school, and she said, "Hey, I got this brand new game." And I said, "Cool. What's the name of it?" I'm thinking about Super Mario, something like that. She said, "No, the game is called Mortal Kombat." All right. Don't quote me on this. This is when the first Mortal Kombat came out, and my brain was still innocent at the time. So my godmother brings me in the house and she says, "Hey, check out this new game I got. I know you'll like it. I know you like video games." I sit down and I press, the little on button on the Super Nintendo or whatever it was. I think it was a Super Nintendo. And the first moment of hearing that theme music, you know which one I'm talking about? Like the drums and the little guitar. What was that? Like, I'm talking about the one. So that's how old I am. Like, a lot of people have just started to play Mortal Kombat and they're big fans now. But I'm talking about like in the 90s, man. How many 90s babies are watching this video right now who remember playing Mortal Kombat 1, the real Mortal Kombat 1 on Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis? Where are you at, man? Because that's where it all started. It's kind of crazy because I'm like a dinosaur in the Mortal Kombat community. I try to play these new Mortal Kombats. I'm just struggling. I just play against the computer because I can't keep up with all these combos. But yeah, as somebody out there is feeling my pain when it comes to the world of Mortal Kombat becoming so much more expansive and growing past what it used to be. I'm used to only picking between 8 players, but don't get me twisted. I can hold my own in every Mortal Kombat. I played every one since the first one. I'm just saying, as far as a competitive setting, I would get destroyed because I'm not that good at the game. However, nevertheless, I remember my first experience. I remember my first fatality. It had to be Scorpion's fatality. What was it? Down, down, up, something crazy, easy, stuff like that. Doing the first time doing the original Liu Kang's fatality, I think you had to hold the directional pad and just go around in circles. He did the little roundhouse kick. And if you had the code or something like that, he'll do the roundhouse kick and then the uppercut. And if you did it on a pit episode, he'll knock you in the pit. Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about, some of y'all. The first Kano fatality where you pull your heart out in this inglorious 16-bit graphics, right? And the original Sonya smoke kiss, a little whatever, kiss of death. I mean, that's where it all started for me, and it's been awesome to see this franchise continue to grow over the years. I'm a huge fan of it. And, it just is what it is. It's one of my guilty pleasures. Every time a new Mortal Kombat comes out, like everything stops for me. I have to play this game. Unfortunately, I'm going to do things a little differently this year because I realized the game. Since Ed Boon has joined with Warner Brothers, it seems that they have a bottom line that they have to meet. And you know what? It's business, so I understand. But at the same time, it's also business for me as well. So what I'll be doing is this is gonna be very painful, but I'll be holding out. I will not buy the game when it first comes out. I'll be the only one who doesn't have it, who really wants it. I mean, really wants it. But I'm going to wait for all these different editions to come out. I mean, the last MK I purchased, what was it? MK11. Man, we got nickel and dimed to oblivion. All right. I bought the original copy and I'm thinking I had something. Then you had pre-order content where you had to buy this. I wanted all the players. I wanted these guys. So it wasn't like I was going to just say, all right, I won't have these guys. So you got nickel and dime. And, the next week a new pack came out and it was just like, dude. And then they finally disrespected us to the ultimate core by releasing the full game like 2 years later or something like that. So I've already had this conversation with myself. I said, you know what? You're going to miss the release. And, you're going to wait until Warner Bros. And NetherRealm stop playing games and put out the full freaking game. It's like, I hate this. Again, if you go back to my history, remember, I played Mortal Kombat on SNES, the very first one. It just came out. And when you bought it, you bought the game. It wasn't any more nickel and diming, bread trailing. Hey, if you buy this, we'll give you this. If you do that, we'll give you that. And if I'm not mistaken, they're already doing it. Like, for example, if you buy pre-order or something to that effect, you get Shang Tsung. Like, I mean, it's like, come on, man. You're in a lot of ways hurting the people who are supporting you, right? It's like we're supporting you, and you're making us wait, and you're making us purchase this, and you're making us do that. I understand pre-order. I get that part. But we're talking about the other stuff, okay? The stuff that's locked behind, or the characters that are already in the game that you can't even play with until you pay for something. Like, that's the stuff I'm talking about. So, I hate that. So that is why I'll probably be foregoing the game until it officially releases. And that's that. But I want to ask you, who is your favorite character? If you clicked on this video, obviously you're a big fan of the game, and I want to know who your favorite character is. If you had to only play with one character for the rest of Mortal Kombat mythology or rest of time, who are you picking? Who is your go-to? For me, without question. Can you figure it out? Can you just take a wild guess? Who is Rick the Dawn's favorite character on Mortal Kombat? I'll tell you right now. In 3, 2, Sub-Zero. Everybody who knows me, like, this is how I know who really knows me. I have a lot of people who say they know me and we cool, but you really know me if you know who my favorite Mortal Kombat character is. If you know my favorite Mortal Kombat character is Sub-Zero, we like blood brothers. Only people who know that is like my blood family. You know what I'm saying? Because we sat down in front of a Genesis, and then we sat down in front of a Dreamcast, and then we sat down in front of a PlayStation 1, 2, 3. You know who my favorite character is. If you know that, you know me. That's how I look at it. But yeah, number one, without question, is Sub-Zero. The big question I'm asking myself is, will this surpass Mortal Kombat 9? And the reason I'm asking that question is because, Mortal Kombat 9, when it came out, it revolutionized the series. I think we can all agree that Mortal Kombat had begun to feel a little stale, and it wasn't feeling like what it used to be. But when it came out, or Mortal Kombat 9 came out, it's like it was a brand new, fresh breath of air. It was a new look. Everything felt original. Now, a lot of people say right before that, it was really in the dumps. And one of those games that came out that I want to just talk about for 1 second, I do mean 1 second, was MK versus DC. A lot of people dislike that game, but let me tell you something. I absolutely enjoy that game. Remember, I'm a purist when it comes to Mortal Kombat. I'm not one of the new guys. I'm one of the old guys who still love the game, who've been playing it for a long, long time. So that game was just amazing. It brought everything I love about video games together. I mean, I love DC. I love the Batman character. I love the Superman character. And I absolutely love all MK characters. So it was awesome to see them be able to compete. And I thought the way they handled it, I'm talking about NetherRealms, the way that they handled the mix-up and not killing the superheroes and stuff like that, I think they did a masterful job at that. But will it be better than MK9? And that's a tall task. A lot of people think that as of this moment, MK9 is untouchable. I don't think that this one will surpass MK9. And I say that because I feel like what I just witnessed and what I just looked at was just more MK9. I feel like this is the Vince Carter effect. Like, for example, this is going to be way off topic, but when Vince Carter won the slam dunk contest, what happened was every year after that, you just got a retread and a reimagining of Vince Carter. Even though it wasn't Vince Carter, it was all these different players who were inspired by Vince Carter, so much so that they just did everything he did, but put a spin on it. It was no more originality. So for me, what I just saw, it just feels like more MK9, but reimagined. But one thing I will make clear is that I'm a huge fan of how Ed Boon revitalized, or I should say reimagines the series every entry. It's not like Street Fighter. And, I get a lot of pushback on this, but I'm not a Street Fighter fan for one simple reason. It just feels so much the same. It just feels like the exact same game I played on Super Nintendo for, surprisingly. I know that's not true. I know there's been a lot of additions, but it just feels the same for me. All right. So, I don't think it will surpass MK9, but I still think it will be a great entry in the series. Now, looking at the trailer, we saw a lot of great people. We saw Raiden. We saw Kung Lao. We saw Stryker, Sonya Blade, the original Sonya Blade, Kano, Scorpion. I'm not a big fan of the new Sub-Zero look. I didn't like it. He has this little hair drop over his face. I'm like, that looks too much like Scorpion. Now, it feels like they took a Scorpion and Sub-Zero and just palette swapped them in terms of color. And, I really dislike that style of Sub-Zero when he looks exactly like Scorpion, but the colors are different. That's what it feels like. That's what it felt like when I played the original Mortal Kombat 1. And, I fell in love with Sub-Zero in that particular era. But at the same time, I always remember thinking to myself, I wish they would have done more with his character and made him feel more unique. And they did that as the series progressed. But man, I can't shake the feeling that when I look at this Sub-Zero, again, Sub-Zero is my favorite character of all time. But when I look at this version of Sub-Zero, he doesn't feel like somebody I know. You know what I'm saying? And perhaps that's because he's not. He's a completely different Sub-Zero. He might even be behind by this point. But it just doesn't feel like Sub-Zero. And if you're wondering, what is my favorite version of Sub-Zero? It's the Sub-Zero from MK3, the one with the red stripe on his eye. To me, that's the definitive Sub-Zero. When I see that Sub-Zero, that's my Sub-Zero. And secondly would be the MK2 Sub-Zero. That Sub-Zero looks freaking amazing, in my personal opinion. Now, I did see a lot there. We can tell that they have this new system, the cameo system with a K, and you can call people in. What do you think about the cameo system? I dislike it. I can already tell you I'm not going to like it that much. I hate games that allow you to press a button and bring somebody in. And I know that, again, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to this stuff. I know that's the new modern style of playing. Street Fighter pretty much revolutionized that particular style of playing. But I'm going to tell you, I'm not a big fan of it. I like old school games, okay? I like you pick a player, I'll pick a player, and we fight. That's it. When you start pushing buttons and stuff start happening, that's about where I fell off when it came to Mortal Kombat. When you can hold a button and do an extra version of the move that you just did, like it's not an original fireball. Now you're shooting 2 fireballs because you push the button over here, a little modifier. That's when I'm like, okay, I quit. All right, you got me. I'm out. All right, but anyway, but nevertheless, I still thought the trailer was amazing. Now, let me quickly talk about what I think is the most amazing thing about Mortal Kombat right now. It's the fact that it does feel new. And when I say that, I mean the story. All right, you can tell that they're retelling the story as if none of what we know exists. And I absolutely enjoy that portion. And what it does is it plays this little trick on your mind like, wait a minute. So when I played Mortal Kombat 1 in, 1990 and 1991, don't quote me on that. I know somebody's out there with a pen and pad like, you're wrong, 1993. Like, don't do that. It's not that serious. But when I played the first Mortal Kombat, it makes me feel like, wait a minute. So was that a reimagining? Was that a retelling of another story that came prior to it? That's what it made me feel like. I'm like, okay. And they did an amazing job with making it feel fresh and original. And perhaps this is why Sub-Zero and Scorpion look like a palette swap, because they don't have all this new stuff yet. And perhaps as the series continues, it might start to bring some of that stuff in. We got to talk about the fatalities. The fatalities look amazing. But again, this is going to be someone's going to be irritated by this, but I wasn't that impressed yet. And I think what it is I am desensitized to what can be done visually and digitally with these particular characters. I've seen it all, man. And I will say that I feel that fatalities peaked at MK9. I don't know if I can get every action or feel the same way. I'm not sure I can feel the same way that I felt when I saw MK9's fatalities. That was a huge leap from what had came prior. I believe what came before MK9? Somebody let me know. Was it MK versus DC? I want to say it was, but something's telling me something came a little bit after that. But if I'm not mistaken, it was. Okay, and if it wasn't, so be it. The point is, I had come from seeing like MK versus DC fatalities, which was like kick him in the stomach and roll backwards, to MK9's fatalities, which were like out. It's like, what is this? Okay, and one of the standouts when it came to MK9's fatalities was Kung Lao's fatality. Okay, if you go look at MK9 and you watch Kung Lao's fatality, you'll know exactly what I mean. Now imagine seeing that for the first time, and if you don't know which one I'm talking about, he kicks the guy down, he takes his hat off, he spins it on the ground, and then he pulls the guy by his leg through the spinning hat. Like, when that came out, when I saw that, I said, this is something new. All right, and to feel surprised by watching a fatality after having played all the Mortal Kombat since the first one, I mean the original first one, I mean it was like wow, this is insanely graphic, and it's like, okay, this is a new era of Mortal Kombat, and that's when my attention was grabbed. And from there, I felt like it was more of a retread of the same thing I saw in MK9. So I think MK9, or I should say NetherRealm's success with MK9 is haunting them a little bit, because in a lot of ways, it feels like they're trying to outdo 9. That's how I perceive it. That's just my perception. That's just my opinion. All right, but anyway, I like it. I'm going to wait to get it. I thought everything looks amazing. We got to talk about the graphics for just a moment, can we? The graphics look a little too similar for my liking to MK11. And if you don't know, MK11 came out on PS4 if you play that type of system. I know Xbox got their things, but who cares about Xbox? Anyway, joking. Anyway, but yeah, to me, the graphics do not feel as if they've taken a large enough leap from MK11. Let me know if you disagree with that. Let me tell you, when I said that, or when I saw MK12, aka MK1, whatever, and I saw the graphics, I said, okay, this is going to release on the latest platforms, PS5, Xbox X35. I don't know what Xbox is doing. I'm just done. I don't care no more. Whatever letter you're on, Xbox 32X, whatever it is, and PS5, because that's common sense. When I saw it, I'm like, okay, it's going to be on PS5, the latest platform, and I expected a little bit of a graphical leap over what I saw. Okay, now that's not to say it didn't look amazing. That's not to say it didn't look great, because yeah, it did. But to me, it looks a little too similar to MK11. So if this is MK11, I thought MK12 one would be here off the meter. It was more like here for me, and that's the issue for me. Okay, and then also I have to point out something that some people will not point out. When I first saw MK11 in the trailer, it looked great. When I played it on my actual TV, it looked a little different, right? It felt different as well. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. It could have been my TV settings. The colors was probably off. Who knows? But that is how I feel about this new MK. Let me know what you think, and if so, if you're going to buy it on day one, if you're going to support it, if you're going to buy all the characters that come out, let me know, and I appreciate you for spending a few seconds with me. And if you don't mind, who is your favorite Mortal Kombat character of all time? Drop that in the comment section. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.